We're an overweight country, and Nebraska is an overweight state. The Centers for Disease Control says 30% of Nebraskans are obese. That means for a 5'9" adult, anyone who weighs more than 168 pounds is overweight. And anyone who weighs more than 202 pounds is obese. 30% of us are just that. The CDC says we become obesogenic. We eat too much food, a lot of it unhealthy to begin with, and we don't move enough. Join us for the next hour as we look at the state of obesity in the state of Nebraska. The problem Nebraska is having is starting to weigh down on us. But what is it that we're doing to make it that way? Is it the foods we're choosing, the lack of exercise, or something else that's causing us to lean on the heavier side? Josh Korth takes a look into what causes us to become obese.
Will that be everything for you?
That's a familiar sound to most of us, and in Nebraska, it's causing quite a large problem. But why are we choosing to eat this way, and how is it really affecting us?
I find that people are turning more and more to processed foods just to get through their busy lives and meet their budget that they have.
But is pinching a penny for a quick meal causing us all to sink?
Those dollar menus can be really tempting and tantalizing for people who want a quick, cheap meal. Of course, they're not always filled with the most nutrition.
One of the biggest reasons our society is gaining so much weight is by the food choices that we are making.
Life is busy, and being in a rush is something we are all used to, and going through a drive-through may be an easier route.
All we have around us is access to fast food and unhealthy food options. It makes perfect sense that people would tend to choose to make those options as maybe their number one choice.
And this choice is a big factor, but not as large as some of our meals.
I think portion sizes are one of the biggest culprits for people right now.
On top of all that, the lack of exercise and eating healthy are also contributing to the problem.
People just aren't taking their own initiatives to make the right choices.
The lack of transportation makes getting around to a healthy food option not always as easy as it could be.
Unfortunately, our city is not set up for people to take public transportation as easily.
And some areas are easy to get to than others.
There are certain pockets of our community where their access to healthy food options are really, really limited.
For those pockets in Omaha, the bus may be the only option to get there if a car isn't readily available, and it seems to have a negative effect on our food choices.
If you don't feel empowered to go to the grocery store, buy those healthy foods, and make a healthy meal, you're going to think, well, I'll just stop at fast food place and pick up dinner.
One reason people avoid eating healthy is because of the fear of the cost for fresh food.
You may have the conception that eating healthy costs more. It certainly doesn't have to if you look at the sales and you shop the specials.
Eating processed or less nutritious food is going to happen, but there are smarter ways for us to balance it out.
For example, try to have a salad with light dressing or some type of fruit or something much healthier to go along with it.
There are some places in Omaha that have a goal to help people become aware of their poor eating habits by the assistance of dietitians.
We do complimentary shopping assistance so that people that want to learn to cook and eat and shop healthier have a good resource to go from.
In order for Nebraska to balance this weight problem, it's going to take more willpower to stay away from the junk and start eating healthy.
But it's like anything else. You can't just expect change overnight.
For Overweight State, I'm Josh Korth.
The health problems associated with obesity are enormous. People who are overweight have a higher risk of heart disease and stroke. They generally have higher blood pressure, which leads to heart disease and stroke. Type 2 diabetes is associated with being overweight, so is cancer. Gallstones and other gallbladder diseases come with obesity. People are at a higher risk of osteoporosis, gout, and breathing problems like asthma and sleep apnea. It's a frightening list and it's not complete, so no wonder a lot of people are trying to find ways to lose weight. Brandy Rollins found that some of them are turning to the medical community for help.
What would it mean if someone were to work out or eat less calories to shed pounds? A complicated variable field evaluation of someone would have to be done that based everything from how tall someone is to their height to their body mass index. It would have to be known how many calories someone should eat versus how many calories they actually do and what kind of lifestyle they plan on living. It all matters, it's all taken into account.
For some Nebraskans that are morbidly obese, diet and exercise is just not enough. Some look into the medical community for other options such as surgery.
There are a lot of patients who have weight loss surgery because they want to improve their current health and help their health problems. I mean, diabetes goes away between 80 and 90% of the time. High blood pressure goes away about 2/3 of the time. High cholesterol goes away about 90% of the time. And there is good data that shows that patients who have had weight loss surgery will live longer than those who didn't.
According to the Center of Disease Control, in 1971, 15% of the population was considered obese. In 1988, 25%. Present day, nearly 50% of the population is considered obese.
These numbers mean millions of people, and someone who used to fit in this category spoke with us.
We're here speaking with Lindsay Morton about her gastric bypass procedure. Hi, Lindsay. Can you tell me what life was like before the surgery?
It was different. I grew up overweight, but I was able to maintain my weight all through high school and stuff because I played tennis competitively. But once I graduated high school, I did not play tennis in college, and instead of the freshman 15, I gained about 50 pounds my freshman year of college, and then I went through a brutal breakup and ended up gaining over 150 pounds, and life was just depressing. And when I came to school, it was hard to fit in the desks at school. And I mean, just here at UNO, like, they just don't accompany obese people. And when I decided I just needed to make a change, like, it was just a big deal for me. My family is not overweight. My mother is a jazzercise instructor. My dad works out every morning. He's a surgeon. So I was the only one. So I always stood out with my family.
How long has it been since your surgery?
My surgery date was July 20th, 2009, so it's almost been 2 years.
Okay, and how much weight have you lost?
I've lost 100 pounds, and it's hard to believe, actually. After I lost 50 pounds, I was carrying some weights upstairs to my apartment, and I actually was carrying 50 pounds in my hand, and I couldn't breathe, and I was like, had to stop and rest, and I was like, what the heck? And my mom goes, well, how much are you carrying? And I was like, 50 pounds. She was like, that's how much you've lost. And she's like, that's what you were carrying around for some odd years of your life. And I was like, oh, wow. It didn't really hit me until you get the compliments and you see things and you see the changes and stuff like that. So it's been pretty amazing. And I've maintained the minus 100 pounds for almost a year now. So I lost about 95 pounds in 8 months.
We don't actually talk to patients about the amount of pounds that they're going to lose. We talk about the percent they're going to lose. So, for example, a patient who's 100 pounds overweight when they start can expect to lose about 10 to 15% by 2 weeks. And they can expect that they'll lose about 40% by 6 months. And they can expect that they will lose about 70% of what they need to lose by a year to a year and a half.
What has been the biggest change in your life since the surgery?
The biggest change for me has been my attitude and my wardrobe. I've had to replace my entire wardrobe. These were the jeans that I've lived in. I had one pair of jeans. And this is what they looked like. I was size 24 and I'm size 10 now. And so it's a big change to have to replace absolutely everything in my wardrobe and clothes. I mean, especially now, growing up and getting a career, I had to buy all new business casual.
Lindsay's operation was the gastric bypass procedure, but it certainly isn't the only type of weight loss surgery.
The band has a balloon on the inner surface of it. and then there's some tubing, and it's wrapped around the upper part of the stomach, like in the picture or like in this model. And then there's tubing that comes, and a little thing sits under the skin, and we can put a needle in clinic and tighten up this band. And the tighter we make it, the less food patients can eat. And again, it helps them not be hungry. Designed to be reversible. If it's not the right choice, the band can be removed. It is designed to be left in permanently, and the companies who make these bands will tell you that this is a permanent choice. I'm a little cynical about anything that's made out of plastic with a balloon as part of it, and so I tend to tell patients, if they get 5 to 10 years out of it, that may be good. But 5 to 10 years from now, we may be doing completely different operations. We may have found a better choice. We may have come up with better medical options.
You said that there's certain foods you can't eat anymore. Tell me about that, and has the portion sizes changed?
When you first start out surgery, the most that you can drink, actually when you're in the hospital, they don't let you leave until you can drink 1 ounce of liquid an hour. So I was able to do that, but as soon as I got home, it got down to the point where I could only drink half an ounce of a liquid an hour for a couple of days. And then eventually it grows and bigger, and now that I'm about almost 2 years out, I can eat at a sitting, meal sitting, breakfast, lunch, or dinner, I can eat about a cup of food at a sitting.
Eating less is what makes the gastric bypass surgery so effective. Surgery can change your life for the better, only if you take it seriously. For Overweight State, I'm Brandy Rollins.
Gastric bypass surgery has gone up 600% in the last 10 years. The costs are between $18,000 and $35,000, but that doesn't include post-surgery behavior, exercise, and diet counseling. And before you do something like this, you need to see if insurance will cover the costs. Obesity's effect on our waistline is staggering, and its impact on our wallets is just as dramatic. Ian Edgington looks at what is causing healthcare costs to balloon and what small steps Omaha is doing to lower the costs of being healthy.
Healthcare costs are reaching critical levels, and obesity is playing a huge part in that.
There's a huge financial impact on our nation and to us personally associated with obesity and overweight.
Type 2 diabetes is often tied to obesity, and it cost the U.S. around $174 billion in 2007. Coronary heart disease, which can be caused by being overweight, cost the U.S. around $316 billion in 2009. High blood pressure, or hypertension, costs the U.S. about $76 billion and is often tied to obesity. The U.S. spent $68.9 billion on stroke-related medical costs in 2009. Strokes can often be caused by being overweight.
Over 75% of our nation's healthcare costs are attributable to chronic disease that have risk factors related to obesity. I mean, that's a huge chunk of our national debt.
With the rising costs in healthcare, Omaha neighborhoods are turning towards community gardens to help make fresh fruits and vegetables more accessible.
Community gardens help slim down neighborhoods by going to the source. It gets people to eat fresh foods and move around.
And oftentimes it's a lot healthier because we're getting it and it hasn't been on a truck for 2 weeks where it's lost the nutrient value.
But what exactly are community gardens, and how are they made?
Most community gardens are based on two facts. One is they find a location where they either pay a very small amount of rent or they are able to work with the landowner to just use that land.
These gardens help Metro residents combat the price discrepancy between healthy options like fresh fruits and vegetables and overly processed foods like candy and soda from grocery stores. When comparing the numbers, the New York Times found that 1,000 calories of junk food cost under $2, but $1,000 of nutritious foods were a little over $18. A more concrete example can be found in local grocery stores. Like if you're looking for a healthy snack, a pound of strawberries can be about $4, whereas a pound of Cheez-Its, $2.50, but not as nutritious. 1/2 gallon of orange juice can be on sale for as low as $1.50. Compare that to a 2-liter bottle of soda for 68 cents and the picture changes. On a budget, these small changes make a big difference, and can add up quickly.
So it really is looking at how we can locally produce and make accessible those affordable fruits and vegetables.
For Overweight State, I'm Ian Edgington.
This is a disease that can have its onset at any point in someone's life. What's tragic is that it's affecting more and more children every year, to the point where the number of obese children is 3 times what it was 30 years ago. How can parents meet this head on and keep their children fit? Brandon Bartling found some answers.
If you thought that obesity was something that only affected adults, think again. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, or CDC, an estimated 17% of children and adolescents from 2 to 19 years of age are obese.
Obesity as a term is usually you're 20% over your ideal weight.
That's 10.4% of preschool-age children, 19.6% of elementary students, and 18.1% of junior high and high school age students. Shocking enough as it is, those numbers are actually triple what they were about 30 years ago. So how exactly do children become overweight or obese in the first place? The answer that probably pops into your head immediately is the child's diet.
The calories you eat minus the calories you burn up, and if you eat more calories than you burn up each day over a period of time, you gradually put on weight.
While living an unhealthy lifestyle, children consume too many empty calories and eventually start to put on weight.
The lifestyle of a lot of children now is more indoors. They don't go out and get as much exercise as perhaps they did a generation back.
According to the CDC, there are 3 kinds of factors that may contribute to being overweight. First is genetic factors. Genetic factors are not seen as primary causes of being overweight, but studies show that there is a link that contributes to weight gain. Also, there are behavioral factors such as diet and physical activity or the lack thereof. Again, when you eat more calories than you burn, depending on how significant that gap is, it can lead to rapid weight gain. Finally, there are environmental factors, such as the parents being a role model for their kids when it comes to a healthy diet and amount of physical activity, or communities having sidewalks to encourage kids to walk or bike. Being overweight or obese can lead to health problems down the road.
Heart disease and
diabetes.
Not the insulin type of diabetes, but just the overweight type of diabetes.
High cholesterol, high blood pressure.
And the list can go on, although these problems normally wouldn't surface until adulthood. One of the best ways to avoid this? Exercise.
Keeping them in sports, keeping them active, and it doesn't even have to be sports, it's even going outside and playing outside.
Places like your local YMCA offer great programs for youth to participate in.
We have all kinds of sports, from your normal basic sports, from basketball, volleyball, soccer. We have football, flag football, and we have even youth weight training, youth cycling.
And some children are already getting involved.
Weight training, at least, we have had to add a couple classes, a couple extra weeks, because we have a lot registering for it.
If you'd like more information, go to cdc.gov/obesity and click on childhood obesity under Feature 2. Now Matt Thompson shares about how obesity affects different ethnic groups.
While we know that obesity is a problem for many people in Nebraska, it's an even bigger problem for Nebraska minorities.
It seems that minorities have a higher rate of obesity than Caucasians do, and that would include both Afro-Americans and Hispanic minorities.
There are many different factors that directly affect why minorities have more of a problem with obesity than others.
Minorities are more prone to obesity because most minorities are single home families.
If you're in a situation where you don't have a lot of money to purchase various types of foods, you're going to purchase things that are lower in cost, and a lot of times energy-dense foods are lower in cost than, say, more whole foods like fruits and vegetables.
I don't know if you've been to the grocery store lately, but a gallon of orange juice costs $3.50. 2-liter pop costs $1.25.
While high prices of healthier food options are a problem that causes obesity, a bigger problem facing many minorities is living in a low-income community.
Overall, minority neighborhoods have about 30% lower percentage supermarkets than if you look at, let's say, a West Omaha neighborhood. So a lot of people are buying food at the corner store versus the large mega chain grocery store. There's less choices.
If someone's living in a lower income neighborhood, they might not have access, for instance, to grocery stores that have, I mean, bigger supermarkets aren't located in low-income neighborhoods, and then the healthy foods that are in grocery stores aren't there.
With the lack of these larger grocery stores, people in these neighborhoods suffer from less choices of food that is healthy for them.
People who are urban, who live in low-income neighborhoods, don't have, again, access to grocery stores that have these healthy foods. And if there are mom and pop stores, they don't carry necessarily those foods.
A lot of times the families don't have as good a choices as far as fresh fruits or vegetables, doing a lot more processed foods that are higher in calories and sugars and fat. And I think a lot of times the choices that are available in a minority neighborhood may not be as good from a food standpoint.
While obesity is a problem for Nebraska minorities, there are a few things that people can do to ensure that minorities have a chance to be healthy.
Some of the recommendations are to get supermarkets, bigger supermarkets, into these food deserts, into lower income neighborhoods. The mom and pop stores that are there, there's encouragement to have healthy corner stores.
Bringing grocery stores into the inner city that can provide more options for people that aren't processed food, and they have more options with fresh fruit and fresh vegetables and stuff like that.
Nebraska minorities could fight obesity with more healthy food options in low-income neighborhoods. For Overweight State, I'm Matt Thompson.
Television is filled with infomercials about miracle diet pills and devices for rapid body transformation. The fact is, they don't work. And as Megan Bird found out, the best advice is to just get back to the basics, get healthy, and get fit.
According to the Centers for Disease Control, 38% of Nebraska is considered overweight, and another 27% are considered obese.
I think there's a quick fix. There's no quick fix to getting fit. There's no quick fix to it. I would definitely recommend 30 minutes of exercise. You have a little bit extra more weight to lose, 30 minutes of exercise, 30 minutes of weight training, every day, every other day, at least 3 times a week for weight training. That's very beneficial because you're taking away that fat and gaining muscle. So the best type of cardio people should be doing is high intensity interval training, what they call HIIT, which is where they run for 30 seconds and then stop and walk for a little bit for like a minute or two. Run or sprint again for 30 seconds, stop and walk. It gets your body guessing, it gets you moving, it gets those muscles working and engaged too. Lifting weights is going to do it for you because you're working your muscles. If you're working your muscles, you're going to see those results.
The first factor to getting fit is finding your motivation.
Keeping something around that's going to remind you of what your goals are, or something to get you going to lose that weight, or even just to get fit and healthy. If you have cancer that runs in the family, that's going to motivate someone and get them going. That motivation's got to come from within, though. That's the biggest thing I think people miss out on, is they don't look deep inside. Okay, why am I really doing this? Is it for me or someone else? If it's for me, I'm going to do it, but if it's for someone else, people don't normally do it.
The next factor to getting fit is moving around, even if that means just walking.
Whether that means wearing a pedometer and making a certain goal of how many steps you want to take in a day, taking the stairs other than taking the elevator. People do find ways of staying active. Of course, the internet itself also is a great resource for people to go online, find the tools that they need of those makeshift type of workouts where they can do the workouts on their own using household items.
The final factor to getting fit is to learn to maintain your activity, such as joining organized sports leagues or a gym.
Tells the member that they are committing to a lifestyle change, especially having a full 3-year membership, and then after that consistently coming back to the gym, and renewing that yearly membership rate every year after that. In regards to exercise, the best thing that you can do is just be active. Going outside after work or when you're at home and just being active outside in the community, and that's everything from taking your kids out and playing with them to just waking up a little early in the morning, just go jogging by yourself.
When looking to get into shape, it's not just about the exercise. Being fit has a lot to do with your nutrition, and there are 3 main things to remember when it comes to food and the diet component.
So if people want a flat stomach, which is what most all people want, they need to make sure they know it's 90% of what they eat. So first thing in the morning, you break the fast. That's what breakfast stands for. So that should be something everyone does in the morning. It should be something not sugary, not Pop-Tarts, not donuts. It should definitely be something like oatmeal and eggs, something with protein and substance to it. Low carbohydrates, eating every 3 hours. And they should be eating about 300 to 400 calories depending on how much they weigh.
So first thing I tell people is just be real with themselves. people know what are bad and what's good and bad foods.
The first nutritional factor is finding the right meals.
So we should eat to live, not live to eat. Really, it's all about moderation, and you can still enjoy life. People think that if you're not completely dedicated, you can't get your results, but you can if you know how to have a healthy balance about everything and turn this into a lifestyle change. That's what a lifestyle is. It's about saying, I'm going to be good for 5 days a week and have a little cheat meal for one day and then go back to the next couple days being really good, or saying I'm going to share this piece of cake with, with whoever. And then you're also like, if you like chili rellenos, have one of those once a week. Don't have them every day, but just find that healthy balance in your life. That's what's going to get you those results.
Another very important tip for improving your nutrition is having meals of the right size.
Portion control. It's all about portion control and moderation. If you want to go out and have a little bit of something, don't deprive yourself, but make sure you're not eating the whole cake. Have a bite of the cake.
With the nutritional aspect, if you can pre-plan your week with healthy foods, you're going to be 10 times more successful in weight loss, keeping the weight off, and most importantly, having just a successful overall time here at the gym and life altogether.
You don't realize how much you're really putting in your body because America's got things so big these days. They don't realize that people don't need that much food. Our stomachs are not that big. Our stomachs are very, very little actually, and we shouldn't fill them to fill out our fat. We should fill them to fill out our stomachs.
The last nutritional factor to getting healthy is having the right mix in each meal, finding the food balance.
You need fats, you need carbs, you need protein, fiber, all that fun stuff. You need all that stuff in your body because your body is going to use it for basically to get your body going, and your body's going to use it for multiple reasons.
With all the statistics out there about childhood obesity, we as a community need to help to get the kids motivated.
They need to move. They need to be active. They need to turn off the TV, maybe have an hour of TV every day, and they just need to do what makes them happy. What's going to get them excited? Is it going to be going for a jog with their parents? Is it going to be going play with the siblings? Is it going to be having activity at school? And the parents have got to be motivating and set the example. So many parents don't set an example, and it's very frustrating because they tell the child what to do, but they don't lead by example.
This local parent knows the importance of feeding her children the right foods.
Yes, I try and buy healthy items like fresh fruit, vegetables, ground turkey, and chicken. With 2 teenagers and a toddler, I know that buying healthy costs more, but I also know the benefit is better for my family.
It's because it's just something in me that I want to be able to see my kid and his grandkids later on. I want to be able to work out with my child. I want to be able to take energy with him. I want to be able to motivate him by him watching me.
The first step to getting healthy is just to get out there and get active. For the Overweight State, I'm Megan Bird.
Diet and exercise. Those 2 words are almost a mantra to anyone who has tried to lose weight. And they may not be the right words. Dan Jensen sat down with nutritionist Dr. Courtney Pinard from the Swanson Center for Nutrition to talk about what everyone can do to combat obesity. Dan?
Thank you, Kathy. Dr. Pinard, can you talk a little bit about what you do on a day-by-day basis working at the Gretchen Swanson Center for Nutrition?
Sure. So I conduct research within the expansive area of nutrition, and I focus on childhood obesity prevention, food insecurity, so anti-hunger, as well as survey development and evaluation, and local food systems. And so, do you want me to keep talking about that?
Absolutely,
sure.
Yeah.
So basically, in order to conduct this research, I submit grants both to federal and foundation agencies. And so, for example, if I wanted to do an intervention with low-income families that involved nutrition education and cooking classes, I would need to be able to come up with the money to be able to do that. So submitting grants is a big part of it, and then also reporting that research out in scientific manuscripts. So submitting to scientific journals, and so other researchers like myself can learn from that, and everything we do is based on an evidence base.
What are some of the different factors that go into becoming obese?
Well, it's really complex. So really, even though we can really boil it down to energy imbalance, so more calories coming in than are being expended, you really have to look broader than that. So we look to the environment and changes that have happened over the past 30 years along with this increase in obesity. So we call this the obesogenic environment, and it really consists of a number of things like shifts in the food supply, where we're relying more on processed foods that are laden with sodium and fats, and expanding portion sizes, and then changes in our daily levels of physical activity is a big part. So our cities now are designed so that we rely on cars more, and there's just less opportunity to be active in our daily lives. So there's all these changes going on at the same time that really contribute to that, and I'd like to pull away from an individual level focus that tends to be the emphasis to one of more of a policy and environmental focus.
How can someone, or how can we as a state overcome those factors?
There are a number of things that anyone can do, and so in order to counteract these changes in the environment, you can try and increase your daily levels of activity. So I always say to people, you don't need to necessarily go out and get a gym membership. People tend to think in extremes, but it really can be simple things like parking at the furthest parking stall away to get an extra walking or biking to work, just doing things around the house that increase your level of activity, because we tend to try and make everything as efficient and as quick as possible, and then just to achieve more in our daily lives. So just getting more activity and then focusing on diet, the most simple thing you can do is just try and get more fruits and vegetables. We know that we're not having enough. We're supposed to have 5 to 13 servings a day, and 75% of Americans do not reach this goal. And so if you can get more fruits and vegetables, really you're adding in foods that are more whole, less processed, and they're also what we call energy poor, nutrient dense, versus processed foods, which can be energy dense, nutrient poor. So you're getting more of those nutrients that you need and less of the calories. So focusing on that, and then as far as a complete diet, you really want to try and have whole grains and healthy fats. So even if you're reading nutrition labels and you're trying to, you would want to reduce saturated and trans fats, you would still want to aim to have some healthy fats like poly and monounsaturated fats that are in nuts and fish and things like that.
What about those more serious cases? How can somebody make a drastic change for health purposes like that and stay healthy while losing a lot of weight?
Well, I would never say anybody should do drastic changes, because these aren't sustainable and they're not healthy. Somebody that may be completely sedentary and have a really poor diet, start by making small changes. And in fact, any program or plan that promises losing more than 1 to 2 pounds a week really shouldn't happen. This is the only sustainable way to lose weight and the only healthy way. So if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. And so as far as making small changes, just like I mentioned, like adding that extra walk-in and things like that, and small changes like if you drink a soda every day, you could eliminate that to start. That's 150 calories a day. And in order to lose that 1 to 2 pounds a week that I mentioned is 500 calories a day need to be knocked off. So that could be a few simple changes like the soda, the extra walk, and maybe like one other food item. So just starting small and setting goals that you can reasonably achieve.
Do you have any quick tips, suggestions that everybody watching can do to lose a little weight or stay healthy?
Sure. Well, there's really no perfect meal plan. Everybody's different, but if you can, try and get more small meals throughout the day. So 5 to 6 small meals, and use portion control. So you do want to continuously eat throughout the day so that your energy levels remain high and you never get to that starvation mode that we all get to some point where you would eat just about anything. So keeping those energy levels high and have planned meals, and portion control is really, it's easier said than done, but we do have something with us all the time that can help guide that, and that's your hand. So if you're looking at your hand, your carbohydrate shouldn't be bigger than your fist, and your protein shouldn't be bigger than your palm. And so it seems kind of like a small portion, but you're eating throughout the day and drinking plenty of water with that. And that really involves a lot of planning, and that's what gets people down. So, but you have to recognize that you can't make those changes unless you plan for them. So that would be the main recommendation. And then just increasing your activity. We're supposed to get 150 minutes of moderate, vigorous physical activity a week. And again, many Americans do not reach this goal. So if you're trying to set a plan, you can really break it up during the day, just whatever works for you. Find activities that you like. So you don't have to do it all at once. You don't have to go to the gym. You can find something that works for you.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Peanut. I really appreciate you stopping by. And back to you, Kathy.
Thank you, Dan. There's a theme developing through the program. Eating right isn't cheap. After all, a box of macaroni and cheese will feed two and cost less than $1, but it's a heart attack in a box if it's the mainstay of your diet. Trevor Malden found a project that starts early teaching children that you can eat a healthy diet and not spend the rent money to do it.
Cooking Matters is a groundbreaking nutrition education program that connects families with food by teaching them how to prepare healthy, tasty meals on a limited budget.
It's a 6-based cooking and nutrition class curriculum program, and what we do is we bring in professional chefs and nutritionists to teach these classes.
To low-income families, professional chefs and nutritionists volunteer their time and expertise to lead hands-on courses that show adults, teens, and kids how to purchase and prepare nutritious foods in a healthful, safe, and tasty way.
What it's doing is showing them how to cook at home, so it's bringing that professional chef to give them the hands-on skills that they need to cook in the home. And then we bring in a nutrition educator that shows people these are the foods that you should choose.
Which is important because without the proper education and awareness of healthy eating, the obesity rates will continue to increase among the youth and jeopardize their future health and productivity.
Just kind of the basics of the food guide pyramid too, like what is a whole grain, why is it better than other products out there, or why is it maybe better for you to eat fresh than fried foods and things like that. So we're showing people like how to change their behavior in the way that they eat. That way it's preventing obesity.
And although majority of these organizations is about helping the youth, there are still classes for adults because they too should be educated about healthy ways to cook and able to decipher between what's right to eat. But Cooking Matters isn't the only organization that are trying to educate people on nutrition.
What we do is partner with agencies that serve limited resource individuals, and we teach them about food and nutrition education.
The University of Nebraska Extension holds 5-hour classes that gives people an opportunity to learn about healthful ways of living through lecture and hands-on experience.
Our program goals are to improve people's nutritional practices, their food safety practices, and their food resource management practices. So therefore, they'll save money on eating nutritiously, and they'll get the most money by planning and writing a grocery list so that they can eat nutritiously.
So being educated on what to buy and how to cook, these classes are helpful ingredients to a healthier lifestyle.
There's an overweight hunger paradox, and that means that people are not getting nutritious food, they're eating very calorie-rich foods. So we're trying to educate them on eating nutrient-rich foods that give them calories but give them good nutrients, and balancing that with physical activity so that they do not become overweight. And so we can really help those people make healthier choices with their food choices and with their physical activity and their lifestyles to not become overweight or to lose weight.
Nebraska is taking the right steps towards healthier lifestyles. With constant repetition, this is the path to progression. For the Overweight State, I'm Trevor Malden.
Did you ever stop to think your town or city might be contributing to Nebraska's weight problem? City planners are just beginning to realize the number of parks, walking trails, bike paths, and sidewalks all play a part in how active the citizens are. For a long time, Nebraska's largest city has had good park system, but not a lot else for people trying to get fit. That's changing now. Adam Steins takes us inside Omaha's outdoor recreation.
With around 90 different sized parks, the Omaha City Planning Board has given their residents numerous places to enjoy the city while being able to work out or just be outside and be able to get away from the everyday grind.
Based on the existing parks and trail systems that are in place today, about 10 or 15 years ago we started a suburban master parks plan, basically to build on that. And it's all based on new development. So when developers come in with new subdivisions or redevelopments, they have this plan to follow.
Parks also allow you the ability to not have to go to a gym to work out and gives you a place to spend time with family or friends. And these features have also been a deciding factor on where some Omaha residents have chosen to live.
It was for us because
especially with having a child, our daughter, Evangeline, it's nice to have a place that you can go outside and just naturally, take the stroller out, go for a walk.
The accessibility of the parks and trails in Omaha is just fantastic because it allows me to be outside on days that are nice instead of having to go into a stuffed up gym. I can be out in the sunshine, and it's just it's a wonderful feeling, especially coming out of winter. The city of Omaha also has over 100 miles of trails linked together throughout the city. This has been an ongoing development for planners.
In the late 80s or 90s, the Natural Resource District, with partnership with the city and the county, started a trail network along our major creeks and drainage ways like the Papio and the Keystone. And on the trails, it actually connects a lot of our major parks together. So you can actually park at a trailhead in one park and take the trail to another park, another school, and other community resources. With summer upon us very soon, some residents wish there could be more of an interactive way to get involved in the parks and trails in Omaha. I think obese people would use the public park system a lot more, especially if the parks had more entertainment options available to them, such as the ability to possibly rent equipment like croquet or just some other summer games like that, rather than just marketing towards a younger crowd by having slides. I think obese people would benefit from having the ability to do more adult, open, outside activities. Omaha is full of different parks and trails, easily accessible by a bus, by a car, by a bike, or even by walking. Some parks offer off-road terrain, such as this at Chaco Hills, that can give you a different type of workout while being outside. So Omaha, go out there, enjoy the parks and trails, get a free workout, and enjoy yourself. For Overweight State, I'm Adam Steins.
Omaha is in the forefront of the obesity battle in our state, with nearly half of the state's residents residing within the Omaha metro. Getting those people healthy is key to the state's fight with weight. Adam Hilt shows us what some city leaders are doing to get the citizens of Omaha active and healthy.
Omaha needs to get healthy, something the people at Live Well Omaha realized last year when they began their campaign to get Omahans active.
Omaha, like many other cities, has health issues that we would like to address. What has happened over the last few years is that we've been looking at what's called the Behavior Risk Factor Survey. And through that survey, Omaha ranks 142 out of 182 metropolitan areas. So not in the best place.
But getting healthy and active isn't the easiest thing to do, something that Corey Kane of Omaha Adventure Boot Camp knows very well.
We've got health care in the United States, so we call it. It's not health care, it's sick care. Health care is being proactive.
Kane's Omaha Adventure Boot Camp is a lot like a military boot camp, with fitness the top priority.
Helping people to not only lose weight but build muscle and lose inches along the way, really focusing on nutrition along with strength training, a lot of core training as well.
But getting healthy isn't all about working out, something that Live Well Omaha wants to stress. Their main goal? Policy changes, changing the way we think about fitness.
Well, this campaign and this set of projects to make policy change within our community is trying to make the healthy choice the easy choice, so that all of us can be more physically active and eat healthier.
But have they succeeded? After nearly a year of work, I sat back down with the director of Live Well Omaha to see how they've done.
It takes a long time to actually move up in the rankings, and we'll see new data at the end of this spring, and we'll be better able to tell. So far, we have not moved up in the rankings.
So Omaha still has a lot of work to do before we're a healthy city, but that doesn't mean we haven't already taken the first steps.
If you walk out the door, you can see more people riding their bikes and walking than we saw previously. We can see more people actually wanting to garden. We've gone from 20 gardens up to 50 gardens in our community. So we're seeing those habits begin to change.
Big cities like Omaha aren't the only places in Nebraska with an obesity problem. John Schreiner takes us out to some smaller communities to see what they're doing to fight the same battle.
This is Nebraska. Well, so is this. And this. But most of our state looks like this. Kevin Keys is one man who lives in these parts. He's a typical rural Nebraskan.
Well, we corn soybean rotation with alfalfa and some grass hay. We run about 100 cows.
Today begins with some spring cleaning on his farm.
It's got to weigh 400 pounds.
Farming can be labor intensive, but does that mean he's in great shape? It leads to the myth that because they do more physical labor, rural Nebraskans are in better shape than those living in cities. The truth is, urban and rural Nebraskans are obese in equal proportions. Despite that fact, some areas of the state are more at risk for obesity.
There's higher rates actually out in Scottsbluff and Hastings, and actually lower rates in Lincoln and Omaha, but you've got to be careful how you look at it. If you go down and you look into the city itself, you might find different racial ethnic disparities.
So, are rural Nebraskans actually more physically active than urban Nebraskans?
We all sit a lot now because we have a lot of equipment that'll do the physical labor, but we don't have to go to the gym to get our physical activity.
This may be true of the workday for some, but more rural Nebraskans reported no leisure time physical activity.
For residents of smaller communities like Springfield, that sedentary lifestyle is easy to perpetuate because most don't have access to workout facilities like this one.
I don't know what the community does as far as promoting good health in Springfield. We have no gyms, there's no community activity center or anything like that.
Diet is another concern for those living in these outlying areas.
Too much junk food. Like now we're going to a local restaurant, so lunch is a fast food thing a lot of times while we're running parts over lunch so that I don't have to take time away from job time. So you go through a fast food restaurant, and breakfast is the local quick shop for a cinnamon roll and a can of pop.
With most of the heavy lifting done by equipment these days, obesity is a problem that likely won't solve itself. It gets compounded by the lack of healthcare providers in rural areas. 15% of rural Nebraskans have no health insurance, but even those who do can find only 61 physicians for every 100,000 residents. For Kevin, this has meant sacrifice.
Well, that was one of the main reasons that my wife went to work, because she went to work for the county, and they have an excellent health insurance program and cost a lot less than it did when we were on our own policy. I guess I haven't had any health issues yet, so I haven't had much to worry about.
For Overweight State, I'm John Schreiner.
And John joins us now in the studios. Welcome.
Thank you.
Nicely done on the package.
Appreciate it.
Curiously, what did your subject have to say about his own health?
Well, Kathy, he admitted that he was perhaps a little overweight. He understood the body mass index that said he was, in fact, himself obese, but didn't agree. He felt like he was about average for a man in his 40s.
Okay. And tell us, what other preventative measures are going on in the rural areas to help all of this?
Well, it's interesting because some of the dietary concerns are so great. With, your traditional home-cooked meals are composed of things like lard, oils, they're often fried, and as Kevin pointed out to me, a large part of his family's diet is red meat. They raise cattle, they butcher cattle, so just all these things that are tremendously packed with calories are in their daily diet. And we know that a large part of losing weight is intake versus output. And even for these people in rural areas who are doing hard labor all day long, if they're taking in more calories than they're working off in a day, they're still going to gain weight.
Okay, good advice. Thank you so much. Well, it's tempting to blame our weight problem on the media. And although the media don't carry the entire blame, they do have a share. Kids spend an average of 4.5 hours in front of the TV set or computer screen every day watching programs or playing video games. That's time they aren't moving around. And they're often eating something unhealthy while they're doing it. Research compiled by the CDC suggests that watching too much TV and snacking while the tube is on contributes to childhood obesity, and childhood obesity leads to adult obesity. But Nick Freeman reports now that we're aware of the problem, local programs are starting to crack down on it.
Everybody has different ways of defining obesity, but overweight and obesity, the entire country is moving in the wrong direction in terms of obesity, and Nebraska's kind of in the middle group of that aspect.
Katie Novicki is a UNO graduate assistant working with the Moving After School Initiative. According to her, media has a direct impact on obesity.
I think the biggest thing with media is the ads that they put out there. They said that there's like 40,000 ads that kids see each year, and there's hundreds of millions of dollars that are spent on ads, focusing, targeting these children.
That's where the money is. The money isn't going to correct things and to get more people more active. There's far more money going into telling us to do things which will add to obesity than there are things the other side.
The overuse of media has a large impact on children.
With kids, we know that the more time they spend with video games, computers, and so on, if they don't put aside time for activity, then they're more likely to have problems with obesity.
Just sitting there, they snack as they're sitting there, and then as you're sitting, your rate of metabolism is so low that you're not getting, and you're not burning any of these calories that you're taking in. So they consume them and then they just sit there.
Being able to restrict the use of media is something everyone should consider.
We don't want to say you can't watch any TV. They try and limit it to a maximum of 1 to 2 hours a day. And that's even kind of a lot, it kind of depends day to day as well. But 1 to 2 hours, absolute maximum. Try not to get any more than that.
Although media has a negative effect on our health, it can also be used to help reverse the trend of obesity.
Here in Omaha, we have something called 5-4-3-2-1-GO. They have video contests where they try to get people to have a dance contest or show how active they can be. So people are making videos of themselves being active.
With today's abundance of new media, a healthier lifestyle could be a mouse click away.
There's also websites where you can go on and you can make a contract of a behavior change. To exercise more, you're going to cut down on your portions. So computers have done this. It has the potential of putting people together and having this social support when it might not be direct.
Whether negatively affecting or helping to reverse the trends, media and obesity go hand in hand. For Overweight State, I'm Nick Freeman.
So a lot of people are overweight. A lot of them are trying to find ways to lose weight, and a lot of them don't want to make lifestyle changes that may be necessary to do it. And that opens the door for quick solutions and too good to be true offers. Lose weight while you sleep. Eat what you want and lose weight. Lose weight without exercise. They're all out there, and Drew Schwartz went out to expose them.
There are dozens of companies and hundreds of products that try to take advantage of people who struggle with obesity.
Yes, I have taken supplements. There were, I believe, creatine and some fat burn supplements. But if you're not consistent with your workouts, they're pretty useless.
Products such as LipoFuse, Vinfedrin, and Thermotox guarantees results as great as losing 10 pounds in a week.
There's a lot of people out there that like the idea of something that would allow them to lose that weight easily without the kind of effort that we know is required.
Many of these products are appetite suppressants and are used as drugs to replace conventional diets and weight loss programs.
I've known people who have used them, but never anyone who has had positive lasting results. Those miracle supplements are kind of a waste of money in my opinion. Supplements are a good way to get you into the gym and to make you work harder, but there's no way you can get results in a week.
The general public is often unaware of the potentially serious side effects that come along with these products, such as Fen-Phen and LipoFuse, which increase the chances of pulmonary hypertension, increased blood pressure, heart attack, and anxiety and depression. Many people are embarrassed when they fall for a product that is too good to be true. But Better Business Bureau CEO James Haggerty says they're probably not the only one.
So, for example, if you didn't feel like your car repair was done properly, it's pretty easy for you to call the BBB. If you fell for some late night infomercial that really you probably shouldn't have fallen for, you might be less likely to turn yourself in on that because you might be embarrassed that you fell for something that really is too good to be true.
The Better Business Bureau serves as a safeguard against products and companies that prey upon naive consumers. Weight loss products are definitely keeping the BBB busy.
We get complaints coast to coast in the BBB system, pushing up towards 12,000 complaints annually, which ranks actually pretty high among the different categories that we take complaints on. So this is obviously a pretty significant issue in terms of people being dissatisfied with offers that they fell for.
While there are a lot of products out there promising results, there really isn't a good substitution for hard work, discipline, and eating right. For Overweight State, I'm Drew Swartz.
The path to fitness is simple, but it's not easy. Commit to a new lifestyle. Don't think about dieting. A diet is temporary. This is a new way of eating. Start a daily exercise and fitness plan slowly and build it up over time. Mostly though, have patience. We don't become obese overnight, and we won't get healthy in a week. Get started by reading up. The website fitness.gov is good for beginners. Have a goal, and if you need one, get a partner so you can help each other. Mostly, do something. We'd like to be able to make a sequel in a few years and call it The Perfect Weight State. I'm Kathy Wyatt.